Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Real News Extra. My name is Fred. I'm the operations manager here at Relaw APC. And joining me today is Jennifer Felten, the principal and founder of Relaw APC. Hi, Jennifer. What are some ways that FinTech is changing the real estate landscape?
Well, let's talk about what FinTech is first.
Please, yes.
Right? So we love acronyms in real estate. So FinTech is financial technology,
Okay.
right? So the reality is that, you and I grew up in a time when ATM didn't even exist, right? If you wanted to go to the bank, you needed to get to the bank and talk to a teller during banking hours.
They did have the teller drive-up windows.
They did not have drive-ups here in Southern California.
Oh, no?
You grew up in Indiana where
We
it
were
was
ahead of the
cold.
game. We were ahead of the game.
So it was cold, so people didn't want to get out of their car. So in the Midwest, they had drive-thrus. That really wasn't a thing here. We literally would go into the bank and you and I, we have kids. We went into the bank it's the first time the kids have ever been in a bank,
Yes.
right? So technology has shifted how we do financial services at every level, right? So from an ATM to now, we're Zelling and Venmoing and money's moving and
Everything on your cell phone.
what's money even, right? It's all moving and transforming. And the result is that there's a lot of money in money, right?
Yes.
So FinTech is the business of moving money,
Okay.
right? And because real estate tends to be the largest transaction most people do in their lives, right? Most people aren't wiring $1 million for anything else but a house, right? FinTech and how we're moving money, how we're managing funds, and real estate are very closely aligned.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So what do you think, what are some of the new technologies coming out now that will be industry standards in 5 years?
Right. Well, I will say the biggest issue in real estate is still fraud.
Of course.
Right. So there's really two types of technology that are coming online that are designed to mitigate fraud. One is blockchain technology.
Okay.
Right. So real estate deeds are still physically recorded in a recorder's office. You can electronically record a document now, but some physical person is reviewing a document and indexing it into the system. And that means it can be fraudulent.
Of course.
Right. So not that blockchain means no fraud whatsoever, it doesn't, but the idea of managing and maintaining those records in a way that's secure and safer than physical recording is a huge piece of this puzzle. And the title companies in particular are fully aware of this because they make their money insuring title.
Yes.
If title is safe on a blockchain, do we need title insurance, right? So FinTech and real estate and the blockchain are huge.
Got it.
The second thing is the biggest risk area in real estate from a fraud standpoint is wire fraud, right? So we're talking about phishing scams, business email compromise, people pretending to be other people in a transaction and convincing people to send money to the wrong place. So, and because the money is currently sent in most cases via a wire, which is a method of transmission that can be manipulated, right? You're just following what someone gave you as wiring instructions. A way to manage where the money's going and making sure it's getting to the right place. So putting that layer on the sender and the receiver, right? So right now the banks have no responsibility if money gets into an account, the wrong account. The actual law protects the banks from being liable in a wire fraud situation.
Right. Yes.
But there's new online systems for money transmission. So one of them is called FedNow.
Okay.
Right? So these money transmission programs are designed to avoid and stop the ability of wire fraud. So what happens is the banks have to register with FedNow to do it, and there's more than one program, but that's the one that's done by the Fed.
Okay.
The bank's registered, then they both have to manage the money. The sending bank has to say where it's going. The receiving bank has to actually verify the account.
Got it.
So that you don't have someone saying, I'm sending this to Bank of America when it's not Bank of America's account, right? So that the secure financial transactions being done at the banking side is the next phase of trying to manage and mitigate the wire fraud that we're seeing in real estate.
Got it. So you mentioned fraud, and you mentioned that transactions are going more and more digital. What are some steps that real estate professionals should take not just to protect their clients, very, very important, they also need to protect themselves.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what are some steps they could take?
Well, understanding that the internet is a very dangerous place.
Yes.
You hear this, the black web. I don't know how to find the black web. I've never gone looking for it, I will admit, but it is out there.
Yes.
If you're looking for it, you can find and be involved in bad transactions. So as a real estate agent, just knowing that both you and your customers are at risk of being hacked. So using secure email,
Yep.
making sure, many of the frauds we've seen have been bad guys impersonating a property owner who sent an email to a realtor, and the realtor didn't pick up the phone, call them, verify they really were the owner of the property.
Right.
You need to have some layer of diligence. The reality is that the next big deal isn't just coming from a random email.
Yep.
Right? If you got a random email from someone you don't know, it's almost certainly fraud. Right?
Especially if they're from Nigeria.
You just
Yes.
have to be diligent, because when those deals go bad, you're wrapped into that lawsuit, right? So not only are your customers, being defrauded and in trouble, you're getting sued too. So making sure that you have systems to monitor and manage your email security, your communications, verifying identities, all the things that are necessary for a real estate action to go well are going to be things they need to do for their own benefit and the benefit of their clients.
And we talk about all the time, just pick up the phone. If something looks weird,
Correct.
suspect, red flag, just pick up the
The
phone.
phone really is your best friend. It is the best way to cut off many of the scams that we see.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Real News Extra. If you're enjoying this content, I invite you to click on like or subscribe. And of course, ring that little bell for future notifications. My name is Fred. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.